celebrate the spirit of humanity and the dawn of a new American era. In a season when many commemorate the birth of Christ, we commemorate our own Genesis, the enlightenment of all humanity, a revelation of our nature as written in the annals of history, a gift from Lucifer, the light bringer, the morning star, and the rebel. We are Satanists. We engender moral, spiritual, and sexual freedom, personal independence, and insist upon personal choice in all things. We care for the significance of the individual spirit and personal moral responsibility. If you stand here today and embrace your nature, are free-thinking, self-governed, and godless, you too are a Satanist in the eyes of many in your own community, including those who represent you in your governments. We are also Americans, a nation born of men and women seeking asylum from a majority religious group in control of political power who punish those who oppose them. Areas which have traditionally been left to a secular democracy, we will do our duty too, to bring the insights of our satanic practice to the State House, to the courthouse, to schools, and of course homes and businesses of America. Wherever and whenever diverse religious guidance is needed. All hail the new American era. An America that embraces our fellow neighbors with the integrity of their character rather than the God to whom they pray. An America where we stand to defend justice and honor for our brothers and sisters regardless of whom they call husband or wife and regardless of their personal bodily choices. Comrades, we are just as powerful as those who work in this institution here. Those who wish to uphold the traditions of old feel us breathing down their necks. And we will continue to be the voice of reason to ensure that our America remains free and equal. All hail the eternal rebel within all of us. To liberty, humanity, and justice. To the satanic emancipator and end of repressive traditions. Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
Caracas resident Dolmar Sarabia is stocking up on supplies, and one in particular, toilet paper. It's one of many basic items she sometimes can't find at local supermarkets. Oil, sugar, and meat, a whole freezer of it. She stocks up on everything.
When there are shortages, I'm always prepared because I'm always shopping. I have to go to many supermarkets all over the place, even in other parts of Venezuela, and so I always have things at home.
But it's the shortage of toilet paper that has caused the most anger. The government had to import 50 million rolls to deal with the problem. At government-run markets like this one, shoppers find most basics that are sometimes lacking at smaller private shops. Even here, though, they snap up staples as if they might not see them for a while. And where there aren't shortages, there are long lines like this one, full of dozens of people lining up just to buy basic goods. That's things like oil, sugar, flour, beans, and of course, toilet paper. Deputy Minister Rafael Coronado oversees distribution for thousands of government-run markets. He says there aren't shortages.
Aquí tenemos un problema grave que es especulación. We have a big problem, and that's price speculation. And that's not a government policy. This is coming from the private sector.
But according to Venezuela's central bank, the country is suffering its worst bout of shortages since the bank started releasing figures on them in 2009. According to the bank, on any given day, shoppers can't find more than 20% of common items on market shelves. Venezuela's largest state will start rationing some basic items next week, tracking purchase with an electronic chip assigned to shoppers.
President tells women to stop using hair dryers and go with a natural style to save electricity. Yes, folks, it's quite interesting. The president of Venezuela has urged women to stop using hair dryers and offered alternative styling tips as the country's energy crisis continues. Nicolas Maduro has announced a decree giving state employees Fridays off for 2 months as part of measures to offset a crippling electricity shortage. Now, don't forget, they're also having massive food shortages and just your basic everyday needs like deodorant, toilet paper, all of that stuff. It doesn't exist. The store shelves are empty. He urged his compatriots to increase other efforts to save power, including cutting appliance use and raising the temperature on air conditioning units. He also called on Venezuelans to make small changes to their routines, including embracing the tropical heat and hanging clothes out to dry instead of using tumble dryers.
A lo que hemos llegado, hermano.
If you want an example of how confusing and messed up the economy is at the moment in Venezuela, then get this. Right now, it's more expensive to buy a second-hand car than it is to buy a new one. And you wouldn't have much chance buying a new one anyway, because look at their showrooms. There are no dollars in the country, so people can't afford to import anything, which means that products like new cars have just ceased to exist here. And it's not just cars that are in short supply.
Coño, mi reina del azúcar porque no se consigue el azúcar.
¿Y tú?
Yo del papel higiénico.
The size of the queue inside the supermarket is ridiculous. There are about 150 people there just standing patiently with exhausted children waiting to get their goods. But outside, it's even more insane. We're currently operating a one-in, one-out policy. In fact, the government had just begun issuing fingerprint-based ration cards. And this is a country with the world's largest oil reserves at a time of record-breaking oil prices. The country and its people should be amongst the richest on the planet. Erle Herrera is a senior politician in Maduro's government. After days of asking, we were finally granted an interview. Just being in Caracas for a week or so, I've seen a lot of queues at supermarkets. I've heard a lot about how basic supplies are running low. Surely this is a sign of a country that's in real trouble.
Aquí se ha buscado derrocar el gobierno por muchas vías, paralizar la industria petrolera, golpe militar, y ahora vinieron con esta guerra económica donde los grandes empresarios pues han apostado fuerte, duro, y por supuesto con los grandes oligarcas del país desabastecer los supermercados, y sobre esa base esa población saliera a la calle. Esa población no salió a la calle, ese pueblo está aguantando. Esa situación se va a superar, pero por...
Venezuela is at the verge of a food crisis. This started years ago when they confiscated farmlands, confiscated companies and businesses, and regulated the prices. Food is getting so scarce that there hasn't been flour available often, and therefore you see these crazy scenes when it gets available. But now, it's more and more empty shelves that meet the shoppers in the stores. There are mile-long lines to get to the stores, and sometimes when they arrive, there is nothing there to buy. This is a line in Anzoátegui last Saturday, measured to be over 1 kilometer long. In our polls, about 60% of the people say that they're unable to find the food they need. And this has led to plundering, such as here in San Felix, or here when they try to break into stores to find something to eat. This was in San Felix, Bolivar State, the other weekend, and one person was shot dead by the police in the riot. Here you see Valencia to the right, where they broke in and thrown things down from the shelves. Here is a plundering of a truck that was accidented and loaded with live hens and chickens, so they just plundered that. Here was a collision with a truck carrying beer, and they stopped and plundered it right in front of the police, who did nothing to prevent it. Here is another beer truck they plundered when it arrived to deliver the merchandise. Since the price is regulated in Venezuela, it's much cheaper there than in neighboring Colombia, and therefore a lot of the merchandise and food is smuggled over the border. Here you see bachiqueros, like they're called, regular people smuggling it over on motorbikes on a plank over the river between Venezuela to the left and Colombia to the right. In other parts of the border, the military itself is smuggling the food out of the country and contributing into the shortage of food. The reason why it's got to be like that is because of a combination of several very unfortunate politics by the regime. These include that it's prohibited to buy in quantity. It's prohibited to store food at home except for the immediate need. It's prohibited to transport food within the country, so you can't bring it from a region with a surplus to one with a deficit. And it's also prohibited to sell at market price because the price is regulated, as I say. And therefore the manufacturer can't afford to bring food in. They are calling this guerra económica, economical war, but that's not what it is. This is just the idea that the communists have that private sector, like here, the owner of Polar, who makes the biggest company that makes food in Venezuela. The regime believes that they are waging some kind of war against them. That is pure fantasy. The real reason for these riots is that the regime is implementing communist politics that does not work, that leads to famine, that leads to hunger, that leads to disaster. We've seen it in country after country after country.
Hi everybody. Alright, haven't brought anything to you guys in a while on the situations involving South America. It is being declared as an emergency, a nutritional emergency by various governments. Venezuela is currently flooded. This is the first time that this has actually happened, I believe, and this is basically pending a global collapse and a global recession, global everything basically. After several years of long lines, rationing, shortages, the so-called socialist country of Venezuela does not have enough food to feed its population, and the opposition government has declared a nutritional emergency.
We haven't been able to buy anything. We got to another supermarket, we got our number. People here just told me that they've been looking for products since 5 in the morning. So I was finally able to buy something, corn flour, which is one of the most precious goods here in Venezuela. It's 12:30 in the morning. I'm gonna keep going. Critics say the cause of shortages is price controls, which make reselling too profitable and producing, well, the worst business ever. But the government says scarcity is part of an economic war, which hides, smuggles, and hoards products to destabilize the country. To tackle this, the government is trying to control shoppers. The last measure was installing fingerprint scanners in supermarkets.
I spent the whole morning looking for products. I just bought detergent and dishwashing soap. So in total, that's only 3 products on my whole list.
Cleaning products, you just go to a shop and buy the essentials. But not Venezuela. Here, getting the basics takes a lot of work. And a lot of time. It's Friday in the morning, and like many Venezuelans, I'm gonna go around the city looking for products. Here I have a list, 8 essential goods. Their prices are regulated by the state, which is partly the reason why they're so scarce. First off, my local supermarket. Weird, no queue outside, but lately, Venezuelans are queuing in basements. Some say it is because the government wants to hide the queues, while others say it's because they don't want people to get sunburned. So it's 9:10 in the morning. We're queuing here to get a number so we can queue again and buy the product. We don't know what they have right now, but someone told us that they have cooking oil. Queues are, of course, the best place to hear what's the talk on the streets. So they just told us that there's no cooking oil, so basically we queued in vain. Aha! I get a text message from a friend telling me that there's corn flour in another supermarket.
The regime is implementing communist politics that does not work, that leads to famine, that leads to hunger, that leads to disaster. We've seen it in country after country.